Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Nanny Joanne. Welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I am going to be talking about 5 tips I have for moms, dads, caregivers, anybody who takes care of children who are stubborn and defiant. 5 easy ways to get your child to listen to you, and quick and simple advice that I have for you to get your child to do what you want them to do, basically, without you being, do what I say or else. So stay tuned. All right, so don't mind all these little flyaways. I just came back from the gym, like my shirt, killing it. You get it? You get it? Little fun fact about me, I am a vegan. I've been a vegan for 6-7 years. No, I've been vegetarian for 7 years. I've been a vegan for about 4 years. Anyways, so yes, how to deal with a stubborn, defiant kid who just will not listen to you. And not listening isn't like he's ignoring you. When I say not listening to you, I mean like if you ask him to do something and he's like, no. Or like, oh, I'll do it later. And then later comes around and he doesn't do it. So here are my 5 tips on how to get a stubborn, defiant kid to actually listen to you. Now, if you're dealing with a stubborn or defiant kid, it usually means that they want to be able to have some kind of power over you or just the situation that you are giving them. Everybody likes a little bit of power. That's why it's important from an early age to let your kids be independent. Give them chores, give them things that they can be proud of, things that they can feel like, wow, I accomplished this. I feel great about myself. I don't need your help. I can do it on my own. Let them have some power. Don't baby your kids. Don't pick them up. Speak to them like children, not like babies and these goo goo gaga voices. No, speak to them like young little adults. Now, as I mentioned, kids want to have some kind of power. So when you want them to do something, don't just tell them, bring me your plate and put it over here. Or read this book before we go to bed. Or hurry up and pick out some clothes or we're late for school. So instead of saying, pick up your plate and bring it over here, you can say, what do you want to bring me first? Your glass of water or your plate? See, either way, it's a win-win and they get to make the choice. Or if you're saying, pick out something to wear, we're late for school, you can say, I've laid out these 2 options for you. Pick one. They get to make the choice. Tip number 1, control your emotions. You can't go into a situation all flustered or angry. Hey, why didn't you do what I told you to do? It's been 20 minutes and you're still in the same place as you were 20 minutes ago. What is going on with you? That's it. No play dates, no more TV. Give me this, give me that. Whoa, step back and take a breather, because you're going to be like, it's not my fault. This is so boring. I hate this. So they're going to give you that same energy that you're giving them. So even though it's kind of common sense, just take a deep breath. If it's too much, if you go into a room and you're just like, he didn't do what I told him, just walk out, breathe, and let go. And come back with a more collected, calm attitude. Hey, I've asked you a couple times to read the book. Why aren't you reading the book? What's going on? Oh, I got distracted. Oh, I don't want to. Oh, it's boring. Whatever it is, then you can address it. But remember, be calm. Because if you're aggravated and upset, he's just going to give you that same kind of vibe. Tip number 2, as I mentioned earlier, give them options. Don't just tell somebody what to do. Do you like being told what to do? If I tell you, hey, go get my car washed, you're going to be like, excuse me? Or if I tell you, hey, I need you to go to the grocery store right now and give me 2 apples, you're going to be like, why can't you do it? But if you tell me, hey, do you want to come with me to go get a car wash? Do you want to go now or in a little bit? Or if I tell you, hey, while we're at the grocery store, pick out something for yourself. It's just those little tricks that can definitely make a big difference. So always, when you can, give your kid options. Now, tip number 3, as humans, we want to be listened to and understood. Same thing with children. They want somebody to be able to understand where they're coming from, to be able to relate on some level, and to simply be understood. So your kid's giving you a hard time, ask them, hey, what's going on? Are you upset? Did something happen at school today? Why are you being irritable? Tell me. And they might tell you, oh, so and so was picking on me, or I have like a pain in my stomach and it's really been bothering me. Or they might be concerned about something. We're going through really tough times right now, with this whole pandemic. Kids are feeling all types of uncertainty right now. They hear things that the grown-ups are saying. Perhaps they're seeing things on the news. They haven't really bonded or been with their friends. It can be a whole mirage of things, and we're over here like, it's not a big deal, suck it up. It is a big deal. These are smaller people that don't have the capabilities to understand and to break things down. So take the time and listen to your kids. Tip number 4, be empathetic. You need to really try your best to understand where your children are coming from, and they need to understand where you are coming from. This isn't a one-way street, it's a two-way street, and it takes two people to make a relationship work. Now, I know that sounds cliche, but it's the truth. I'm sure you agree with me at home or wherever you are. Ask them, why don't you want to do this book? Because it's so hard. I'm not any good at reading. It takes too long. And all of those are actually valid points. Don't tell them, it's not hard. You're so good at it. You'll do it super fast. No. Pause. It may not be easy for them. It honestly may be hard for them to read this book. Just because you perceive it as easy doesn't mean they perceive it as easy. Just because you think that they're great doesn't mean that they have that confidence in themselves to think, hey, I got this. I know exactly what I'm doing. I can totally read this. No, be empathetic. Be like, yeah, I know it's a little bit hard for you, but let's do it together. Maybe you read one sentence and I read one sentence. Come up with a strategy that'll make them feel like, oh, okay, yeah, that would work, instead of putting all the pressure on them. And at the same token, tell them, don't be afraid to express your feelings to a child. I'm not saying to, give them, the lay of the land and be like, oh my God, I had such a hard day. No, give them something that they can relate to. Be like, listen, the way that you're behaving right now, it's really upsetting me because I know that this is something that we need to do, and you've done it yesterday and the day before. So I don't understand why today you're giving me a hard time about it, but it's really making me feel upset and a little bit mad. Talk about your emotions. It's super healthy, and it's a great way for them and for you to vent. And who knows, together you guys might come up with a plan. My last tip is tip number 5. Make sure that the request that you're asking of your child or of your children is appropriate in relation to their environment and to their day. You don't want to ask a kid to do anything strenuous at the end of the day. All these things should have been tackled at the beginning of the day when they have the most energy. We can't expect children at the end of the day to want to do homework, to want to read, to want to do all these chores that they didn't get to do at the beginning of the day. Be aware of their moods, of the kind of day that they had. Maybe they had a bunch of activities in the morning. They had school, they had soccer practice, they had this, they had that. And now it's 7 o'clock at night and you want them to have energy to do something like homework that they didn't already want to do to begin with. Make sure that you just prioritize. If it's super important, get it out of the way so at the end of the day, you're not asking them to do something when they have already been pooped. If bath time is a struggle, get it out of the way. That way you can say, all right, you don't want to take a shower right now? Cool. Do you want to take it in 30 minutes or an hour? Or do you want to take it before lunch or after lunch? But don't wait till the end of the day, because then you guys are both going to be tired. You're not going to have the patience that you had at the beginning of the day when you're fresh, when you've just woken up from a great night's rest, or maybe you didn't have a great night's rest. Maybe he or she didn't have a great night's rest. So ask them all of these questions. Hey, are you okay? I noticed that you're a little bit edgy. What's going on? Did you not sleep well? Are you hungry? Do you need something from me? Make sure that the environment is appropriate when asking your children to do something that you know they're going to give you a hard time doing. I will give you guys an example of something that happened to me just today. So my kid that I'm working with has a summer reading log that he has to complete. And we started a little bit late in the game because I just started to work back with my old family. But we've been reading every day. So when I first started with them, we were reading towards the end of the day. And I noticed that he was giving me a hard time. And it was probably because after a full day of playing, of activities, we were in the pool. Right before I left, I had him read. And of course, he was tired. So I saw that happening after 2 days. I'm like, you know what? And I told him what to expect. I was like, you know what? Tomorrow and from here on out, we're going to read at the beginning of the day. That way we get that out of the way, since I know it's not your favorite thing to do. And we have the rest of the afternoon to play. Sounds good? We agreed. We made a plan. He knew what to expect. Boom. The next day, I followed through. Smooth sailing. Smooth sailing. So that's been going on for about 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks. But today, from the moment that I got there, he was super irritable. Everything that I suggested, he didn't want to partake. So I personally only have one rule. You listen to me and I'll listen to you. It's as simple as that. So I proposed to him, all right, we have this book to read. You want to start now or in a little bit? Obviously, he said in a little bit. So fine. That was a fine answer with me. If not, then I wouldn't have given him those choices. So when a little bit came, he was giving me a hard time. He didn't want to read. He didn't want to read at all. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, so-and-so, you're not listening to me right now, and I'm asking you very politely to read. So guess what? When you want me to play with you, when you want me to do something for you, I'm not going to do it, because it's not fair that I'm doing all these things for you, but you can't do this one thing in return for me. So don't ask me to do anything for you unless you do this one thing for me. Boom. As simple as that. He asked me like maybe 15 minutes later, he wanted to do some kind of project. He's like, Joanne, can you read this for me? I was like, nope. I'm like, can you read this for me? And he said, no. I was like, all right, well, there you go. Today I had to wash him and his sister's sheets. So I made her bed. He's like, Joanne, are you going to make my bed? I'm like, are you going to read that book? Again, he butted heads with me. So during this whole time, I was asking him, I'm like, Jake, what's wrong with you? You know that we read every day. What's going on today? Why don't you want to read today? He's like, I don't know. I just don't want to. That book is so boring. So I was like, all right, cool. So why don't you grab another book that we can read? You know, I gave him the option, pick another book. I even helped him. Do you want this book or do you want this book? He didn't want to read any of the books. It was just one of those days. So learn when to pick your battles. So I didn't keep pressing him. So then I told him, what's wrong? Like, why are you so upset? Like, talk to me. So I was like, he's like, I don't know. I just feel bad. I'm like, okay, well, what can we do to make you feel better? Nothing. I was like, nothing. And then I was like, do you miss your friends? He was like, well, yeah, I haven't had a play date in a long time. I was like, all right, so you want to have a play date? And then he's like, yeah, that would make me feel better. I'm like, all right, well, how about this? At the end of the day, it's mommy and daddy's decision whether you have the play date or not. So why don't you propose to mommy, can you have a play date if I read these books? He wrote that, and his mother said, yeah, you have to read the books first. So long story short, or maybe not, before I left, before my shift was over, he read the books. So even though it was a struggle, I won the battle at the end of the day. I won. You know, he did what I asked him to do. I had to ask him repeatedly. I had to give him different choices throughout the day as the day transpired. But moral of the story, I asked him to do something. He did it before the day was over. So even though it wasn't a great win, I still got what I wanted, you know, and he also got what he wanted. So we both kind of won. And you know what? After he read that book, it was smooth sailing. So I know that you guys can probably relate to something like this. And these kinds of things, they take a lot of patience and some practice. So you always want to set the tone and follow through. All right, guys, if you guys can relate, as I'm sure many of you can, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Leave any questions or comments or your personal experiences in my comments down below. Or if you guys have any extra tips, and I'm sure there's a plethora of them, but today's video is only 5 tips on how to deal with a defiant and stubborn kid. I am open to all tips, and I actually just ordered another copy of the 5 love languages of children that I am going to reread because I lost my other one. And I will give you guys a brief review on that if you guys want to know more about that book. I bought it today because I was like, all right, and let me figure out what this kid's love language is, even though I kind of have an idea of what it is, but I will see. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys all next time on more nanny tips and tricks from yours truly, Nanny Joanne. Bye.